Were you already awake when the earthquake hit on Sunday night?
No, it woke me up.
Yeah, woke me up too. But you were about to get up anyway. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30.
No, it was like right at yeah, it was right at 3, like right before 3. And that was the worst part about it though.
Because
I wake up at 4 and
yeah,
all the minutes matter. So when you wake me up an hour before 4, that's the worst. However, it was much worse for Jessie because she's not great at getting back to sleep. So she was awake for a couple more hours until she went back to sleep before she had to wake up for work. So it hit her harder than it hit me. Still annoying, damn it. Can't, the natural elements wait until we're all awake? Though I'm glad that one happened when we were asleep, because that one would have scared the shit out of me had we been in the middle of the day, say, I don't know, on BART in the middle of the afternoon when that sort of thing hit.
Yeah. Or if you're driving, I'm sure that would just, especially if it's that early in the morning, if you had to get up and like drive BART or drive into the city and you feel that on the road, you're like, whoa, that's not cool. But no, I mean, hey, you're waking up and Jesse could deal with it. I don't wake up until 7:30, so I had a hard time going back to sleep.
Aw.
Yeah. I was cranky.
Why 7:30?
I like to get up and work out and then go to work.
Okay. Well, yeah, but you don't have to wake up at 7:30 then. You could go past that little bedtime that you've set for
yourself. But I choose to.
Or wake up call that you've set for yourself.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
I like to be productive in the morning now that I'm older.
No, that's good. It's a good practice and good habit to have. But I'm just saying, you don't have the right to complain.
Yeah, either way, my sleep was disturbed. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa, we're coming to you on a Tuesday night to react to Week 3 in the NFL. We have a lot to get to with the 49ers, a lot of injuries, and one crucial one that may impact their season going forward. The Raiders fall to 1-2, and I like to think things are going in the right direction, but I don't really know after these last 2 games. We'll go through it all. Just real quick, now, I think most people heard the announcement last podcast. Steven's having a baby, so congratulations to him and Jesse. Did you act like Seth Rogen, though, and knocked up when the earthquake hit? Did you just jump out of bed and kind of fend for yourself?
No, I wasn't smoking a bong out in the living room because I couldn't sleep after eating a whole plate of spaghetti. No, nothing like that. Where, a roommate like Jonah Hill has some naked girl with him.
The naked redhead, yep. And
naked redhead.
They're all on the front lawn. Jason Segel's butt ass naked, just holding his junk. And then Jonah Hill's covering up his girl's boobs.
Yeah.
And then Seth Rogen smoking the bong. Then the cop comes by, breaks it. California, right?
Dude, I mean, it's talk about like a change in the times, though. No one would even have to hide that bong anymore.
Yeah, I know. You know what? Even then, though, what was that movie? Like 2007? That's an aggressive move to break the glass bong just because a cop rolled up. Now, they would have probably inquired about it and confiscated it and given it back to Seth Rogen later on. But to break the bong, that's a bold move.
I would love it if it was just like a theme in his movies, like in those Edgar Wright films where there's always some recurring joke with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. I wish there was like a recurring joke where a bong always gets smashed in every one of Seth Rogen's movies, because we went consecutive movies with the bong getting smashed. Obviously, the first one that we're talking about right now, and then the next one in Pineapple Express when he smashes one over Danny McBride's head, which, oh my God. That's a painful scene. That one. I remember watching that and thinking, damn, like Seth Rogen's a really violent person.
That's what you thought about at that moment?
Yeah, that scene, and this ends now, and then he ends up hitting him with the bong.
Yeah. Truth be told, and we'll get to sports, everybody, calm down. Pineapple Express, good movie, not great. I think it's a little overrated. Not one of my favorite Seth Rogen movies.
I disagree, my friend.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, for all of his problems that he's had after said movie, James
Franco?
Yeah. In that. Come on, man. I thought hurricane season was over.
that line's great. I do love Bill Hader at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, they're all fantastic.
Yeah, maybe I need to get another watch because it's been a minute. I probably haven't seen it since, I don't know, probably was on TV years ago and I watched a little bit of it, but I need to give it another watch.
Get yourself in a state of mind and then turn that bad boy on.
There you go. So, Steven lost in picks. I had an epic comeback. I was losing by a lot. And then the afternoon games totally swung in my direction. So, Steven, when do you want to do this?
We can do it whenever. I mean, I could do it now. I mean, I'd like to do it as soon as possible because I do have to go to sleep in like 2 hours.
Fair enough. Then I'll let you dictate that, but of course it's going to be when you have to speak. So I leave it up to you, sir. Should we go Niners or Raiders first? Because there's a lot of positive with the Niners, but also a lot of negative, just a bunch of negative with the Raiders right now.
Well, it depends. I think we'll have I think we can do the Niners first because I have a lot on the Raiders. As a matter of fact, I have a little slideshow of Genty's runs and just the issues overall. And there's one player who really stood out in this one against Washington. And actually, he stands out in games before that, too. So it's dealer's choice. How about this? I'll eat the chip. You pick the topic.
Let's go Niners first. And by the way, shout out to Raider fan. I mean, we have a lot of great people in the chat tonight. Mac Van. Dude, I met this. This is the dude that hooked me up with the what was it? Was it like spicy? I forget what even I was eating. But Mac was at our round table. What's up, Mac? And yeah, he's diehard Raider fan. Listens to you and I all the time.
Nice.
Listens to Dirty Work. Yeah, Van's the man. I forget what he gave us though to eat. Mac, what were those spicy beef jerky? Thank you. That stuff killed me. So maybe I need to get a hold of that stuff. It's at the Prescott Market where the Ballers play. And congratulations to the Ballers. They won the Pioneer League Championship. How about that?
That's awesome.
You don't care, huh?
Do you?
I think it's pretty cool considering
it's great
what
for
went
the
on.
city of Oakland that it's got baseball back, but congratulations on beating a team from Idaho.
The Idaho Falls Chuckers.
The Idaho Falls Chuckers. How about that?
Yeah.
Oh, good for them, man. I mean, I haven't been to a game. I've been meaning to get out to one, but shout out to them for winning. I mean, that's a cool thing. I'm not going to shoot that down. I'm just not big in Pioneer League baseball.
You and I need to make it out to a Ballers game, though. It is fun.
I'm glad you said make it out. Because it almost sounded like you said make out. That was weird.
Did my thing cut out? I clearly said make it out.
I know, but it sounded like you were about to say make out. So maybe that's in my head, Derek. I don't know. Weird guy. Mac Van, better than Khalil Mack?
All right.
What?
I mean, right now, because Khalil Mack's on the sideline, Mac Van is the guy that hooks it up at the round table with some beef jerky, and is a loyal listener. So shout out to Mac Van. All right, let's talk 49ers to start things off.
Did I make things weird?
A little bit with the makeout stuff. Niners win 16-15 over the Arizona Cardinals. My head wasn't even going there, Steven, you weird bastard. And they're undefeated. They're 3-0, and we'll talk about how good they are. But this game, I mean, they won the game. They were resilient. All these games are pretty much have gone the same. Where, you know, the first week, beating the Seattle Seahawks, you know, could have lost that game easily by throwing an interception in the end zone, but Jake Tom just gets the touchdown. The defense preserves the victory in New Orleans. This game, I felt like the Niners gave a lot of chances to the Arizona Cardinals to win this game, and they just did not capitalize. Obviously, the wide open pass that Marvin Harrison Jr. dropped, the wide open pass that DeMarcado, the running back for Arizona, dropped.
You mean the two wide open passes that Marvin Harrison Jr. dropped?
Another one,
was masked by the old defensive pass interference.
Yes. Well, that was in the end zone and was deflected, but he still should have come down with that ball.
No, he should have come down with that ball. It wasn't even deflected. He caught it. He just didn't hold on to it.
Well, he had a guy on him, but yes, I hear what you're saying. Well, no, wasn't there a guy in coverage on him on that play, or was he wide open? He just dropped it.
No, he just dropped it.
Well, either way, Marvin Harrison Jr. flashes at times, but so far disappoints. I was surprised that Kyler Murray didn't run more in this game. I think he only ran 6 times, and it felt like to me that a big thing that Tim Ryan was talking about with Copes and I was the Niners need to establish the edge where if he gets outside the numbers, it goes around, then those guys need to close in on him, whether it's Nick Bosa, and unfortunately he left the game early. We'll talk more about that. Michael Williams got injured as well, but came back into the game. He was definitely outrunning everybody on that defense to go around Michael Williams or Bryce Huff. And I'm just surprised they didn't do that more. I thought that when Kyler Murray was throwing, the defense was able to break it up. Upton Stout with a great play on who's our guy? Zay Jones to break that third down play. So a lot of good from this game. Mac Jones throwing 41 passes and really, filling in very nicely for Brock Purdy. Christian McCaffrey not getting done on the ground, but it really doesn't matter when he's just a Swiss Army knife and getting basically, I think, was it over 140 yards from scrimmage? Ricky Pearsall coming up huge. Kyle being aggressive with the play calling. I mean, a win's a win. They could have easily lost this game, but they win. So 3-0.
You're right. It was the same theme, really, as these last couple of games. Here's the hot sauce. I'm going to eat it now and just
go for it.
Good God.
What kind of chips are we working with? Pita?
Just want to eat toes, man.
Nice.
Or want
gluten-free.
Wontonios. How about that?
All right.
Oh.
Are you still going with the expired hot sauce above you right there on your shelf?
No. This is a smaller one, new one, not expired. This expires in September of 2026, so it's got a year to go.
Gotcha.
Oh, God, I'll have a child by then. That's wild.
I know. Think about that. And by the way, everybody, just a reminder that when Steven does the hot sauce challenge, for some reason, he sounds like Sean Connery.
A little bit. It's the saliva builds up in my mouth.
Yeah.
So, got a few big plays from the offense, right? I'm not going to say Mac Jones played better than he did against the Saints, but he was fine, with exception to the interception. But I thought the difference maker for the offense, sure, it was Christian McCaffrey, who I'm feeling pretty confident with my take that I had early on in the season that he's going to have more value as a pass catcher than a running back, because right now as a running back, it ain't really working out. But when it's on the ground,
yeah,
like it's. I got numbers. I got efficiency numbers, dude. The success rate, it's the same as Ashton Genty's, believe it or not, when Christian McCaffrey was running on the ground in this week against the Cardinals. But point being, doesn't matter because he has value catching the football. But I thought through offense, the difference maker was Ricky Pearsall. Just an absolute vacuum, dude. You were right. CJ Stroud was right. Like, this guy, it's just so natural. And it looks like flashy when he catches the ball. Like the thing with Brandon Ayuk that's weird. The thing with Brandon Ayuk that's weird is he does it, but there isn't anything like electric about when he catches the football. Like, he had that circus catch against the Lions in the NFC Championship. We all know about that one. But other than that, just a good route runner who gets open and can catch passes. But like when Ricky does it, he has that Devontae Adams flair where it's like he puts his hands out at the last second.
Yeah.
Late hands, that's what they call them, right? Late hands when he's catching the football. Just really impressed with him in that game. But you're right. It was the same theme because the defense just came in and shut it down. I thought Michael Williams made huge strides in this one. Mm-hmm. There was one play that I couldn't wait to see on the All-22 where he just busted through the double team and managed to tackle Trey Benson in the backfield. And that's another thing. I do believe, I'm not going to say the word lucky, but I do believe the 49ers were very fortunate, and it's very unfortunate for him that James Conner ended up suffering a broken ankle that took him out of the game, because in their 2 wins last year, and it feels like anytime he's been the starting running back in Arizona, he's kind of been the one that's closed the game for the Cardinals. It's just they run. So they did get a little fortunate there. However, my other takeaway from this game, maybe it's too forward thinking or hyperbolic, whatever you want to call it, but Kyler Murray, the franchise quarterback, that's not happening. Like I told you going into the game, the only time I have any faith in him is when he's using his legs, breaks out of the pocket, and maybe makes a throw and throws it with confidence. But if he's just doing a 3-step drop and he's under center, like he doesn't see anybody, and he just floated the football. Like, I guess he wasn't terrible in this game. A lot of Cardinals fans are blaming the offensive coordinator for the lack of creativity and maybe for the lack of Kyler Murray getting outside the tackles. But even the first play of the game, go back and watch it. he had a wide open Trey McBride crossing over the middle of the field, and he just wasn't even looking in his direction. Like, that's because Kyler Murray's too short. It sucks to say he's my height, but can't see over the 6'3", 6'5" offensive lineman in front of him.
Yeah.
We all knew that would be a problem. He's super athletic. He's got a decent arm. He's got a pretty good arm, actually. But just as far as like a quarterback who can stick in the pocket and is just like conventional, kind of like Mac Jones was, where he doesn't have to do too much. He could just complete these short little intermediate passes when he's driving downfield in the 2-minute drill, which Mac Jones was really good at. I don't know about that with Kyler Murray, dude. It's like the way we talk about Caleb Williams. It's erratic.
Yeah, no, with Kyler, I don't know about him. And I forget if he was called for delay of game or they called the timeout in time, but it was early on in the game where he was just so lackadaisical at the line. And all of his teammates were like, dude, snap the ball, snap the ball. He's like, okay, we got time. Calm down. And in the end, they had to burn a timeout or they were penalized. But yeah, I'm not a Kyler guy. I thought he was going to be really good in this league, and he hasn't got better. I would also say, like, just talking to Marcus Thompson and Tim Ryan last Friday, I was telling them, like, it seems like he does the same old stuff where he could beat you with his legs, he could beat you with his arm, but when he's pressured, he just makes really dumb throws. And they're like, well, yeah, that's any quarterback. Yeah, but also with Kyler, it's just really bad. Like the safety that should have been a safety. I've been watching football a long time. I never thought that we had to look at where the ball was or like just an inch it's out of the end zone, and that's not a safety. I know they got the call right, but that's so ticky-tacky. That's a safety any other time that it's been called a safety. So I don't understand what the refs were saying there. It's just as much as a safety as the Mac Jones safety in the end zone was with the holding penalty. And by the way, that's not on anybody in particular on offense. That's on Sky Moore for fielding that punt on the 6-yard line. Just let that ball go.
Right.
But yeah, I would say the Arizona Cardinals, I'm more down on them than I am high on the 49ers. The 49ers, give them all the credit in the world for winning this game, but I thought the Arizona Cardinals just missed opportunities. And they eventually find Trey McBride in the end zone. That's something that they didn't do until late in the season a year ago. Just real quick on that. Watching the game with my pops is very interesting now because he's invested in the 49ers. Don't get me wrong. But he's also doing fantasy for the first time in a long time.
Oh, man.
So he had James Conner and Trey McBride on his fantasy team go in this game, and James Conner gets hurt, and he goes, fuck, why does anybody play fantasy? I mean, everybody just gets hurt. What is this shit? And then Trey McBride catches a touchdown, and he goes, all right, Trey McBride, nice.
Yeah, Jesse's feeling the wrath of it right now. She had James Conner, CeeDee Lamb, and Mike Evans on her team. Oof, tough week for her. Anyway, continue.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, the 49ers won this game, and they played great defensively. They had some breakdowns, obviously, where Marvin Harrison was wide open, and Amari DiMercato could have just walked into the end zone, but they dropped passes. They did a good job containing Kyler for the most part and defending him through the air. But, wasn't a lot of offense from the 49ers standpoint. I didn't really agree with the 4th and goal call from Kyle. I understand that he just wanted to go for it and establish a running game.
Yeah.
But I thought, with how much Mac Jones was getting beat up, like you saw his jersey get ripped, and he looked injured at that point. Like that handoff on 3rd and goal, where he had to basically jump into giving McCaffrey the ball.
Yeah,
I thought at that point, just take the points. Take the points the points are at a premium right now. Just go up whenever you have the opportunity to take the lead. Just take the lead, in my opinion. Just go up 9-6. So I didn't agree with that call. I did love the 4th and 2 call where he was aggressive and threw a deep pass to Ricky Pearsall. That's ballsy by Kyle, who, in recent years has gone for it more on 4th down, but you didn't see it previously. Yeah, I mean, we're going to rank our 3-0 teams, and I'll just warn everybody, I probably have the Niners last. But then again, I think it's kind of unfair because we really don't know what this team is about. Even though they're 3-0, we haven't seen them healthy, and we won't see them fully healthy now that Nick Bosa has torn his ACL. But you see what they are week 1. They don't have Brandon Ayuk. They don't have DeMarcus Robinson. George Kittle's been out for basically, 4.5 games. They'll come back hopefully by the Buccaneers game. But while this team they've impressed me in some way just because they've won close games, and that's a skill. But I don't know what to really take away from this team because I haven't seen them at full strength. And I don't know. What will for the entirety of the season, and I don't know when they'll be truly tested outside of their NFC West games.
I think the big difference with the teams that are 3-0 compared to the 49ers, Shanahan always says this, and I don't necessarily think that it's always true with every team, but he's been depleted by so many injuries that he only has the thing to say, which is it's any time that they finalize a 53-man roster, he says what this roster looks like now is not what it's going to look like at the end of the season. And the difference with the 49ers compared to these other 3-0 teams, if you look at them, sure, there could be injuries, but it really does feel like this is what their teams are going to look like towards the end of the season. Like the Bills are going to be having success with Josh Allen, James Cook, any of their receivers, and those guys on defense. With the Colts, Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, who's having like an offensive player of the year campaign right now.
Yeah.
You kind of know what you're in for with them, and Tyler Warren, who might get better. I can't even think of the other 3-0 teams at the moment, but
Eagles, not Rams anymore.
The Eagles. I mean, you kind of know what the Eagles are going to be towards the end of the season, but with the 49ers, you really don't know. And I think that's what makes their 3-0 just so complicated, I think, compared to the other ones. It's just, that they're not going to be going out there with Mac Jones for, the rest of the year. Who knows how long, if and how long Christian McCaffrey stays healthy for every game. George Kittle is going to come back, and they're going to look like a different team with George Kittle. As a matter of fact, I only think they're going to get better on the offensive side, but this whole Nick Bosa injury really puts a damper on everything. I mean, there's ways they can try to replace him, but the numbers are the numbers, and without Nick Bosa, their pressure rate has dropped significantly, no matter who they've added. So.
No doubt. We'll get to Nick Bosa, but just real quick, Eddie Pinheiro makes it a hell of a difference when it comes to the kicking game. And I know that I defended Jake Moody in the preseason. I just thought that maybe he would change things. But I get it. When he missed a 27-yard field goal, Kyle didn't want to lose a game like the one they were having on Sunday. If Jake Moody's kicking for the 49ers, I don't know if they win that game. Eddie Pinheiro makes that much of a difference. And by the way, that's another crazy thing for my dad. We're watching the game. He said Eddie Pinheiro looks like Ray Finkel.
What?
And remember, Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel.
Einhorn's Finkel.
I was like, wait, what? Ray Finkel from Ace Ventura? He goes, yeah, he looks like Ray Finkel. And I'm like, Ray Finkel had a mustache. Yeah, you put a mustache on Eddie Pinheiro, it looks just like him. Like, what? Also, do we see Ray Finkel enough to know what he actually looks like?
I really don't. Like, I wish I'm looking it up right now. How am I supposed to remember what Ray Finkel looks like?
I remember Einhorn and the whole, crying game scene, which nowadays be like, whoa, what?
All right, let's pull this up here. Okay.
I think my dad has just gone through, like, he loves football, so he's been cooped up in the house and watching a ton of bad, like, football movies. Although Ace Ventura is a great movie. He said The Replacements is a bad football movie. I disagree. Yeah, that looks nothing like that looks nothing like Eddie Pinheiro.
How did he get Ray Finkel from Eddie Pinheiro?
I don't know at all.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a bad one by my pops.
Do you think he would use the same nickname that Chris Berman would? Instead of Eddie De Niro, everyone is saying Eddie De Niro. Then Chris Berman comes in and goes, Eddie Pinheiro bread.
Yeah, when everybody zigs, Berman's going to zag with his own nicknames. Some hit, a lot of them miss. I'm just glad that Chris Berman's still on the mic doing the fastest 3 minutes.
I like Pinheiro bread. At least there's an Enye at the top of the N. Isn't dinero just dinero? Right?
Yeah.
Could be wrong in my Spanish, but it's not. Is it, or is it dinero? That sounds right. That sounded good.
Dinero?
Dinero. I don't know.
That soft roll of the R there.
Good Lord. Now everyone's reminding me of the Fortenbaugh. Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn's Finkel. I'll never forget that.
What he was
ingrained
saying
in my
that on a
memory.
show?
No, he was doing that during the Mattress Firm reads.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know De Niro's money. I understand that, AJ, but I'm talking about the pronunciation. I like De Niro bread.
You like the one a lot?
Yeah.
I can tell. Yeah, weird comp for my dad there. He also said The Replacements is a bad movie. No, great movie, great
I
movie.
get that. Like, I mean, I understand it. But you had to be there. You know, you had to be a kid growing up watching that. That was perfect for all of us in the age that we were watching that movie. I could see like an adult watching that and thinking that's not very good.
Yeah, I guess, but also it's just something magical about an early 2000s movie, and Gene Hackman is wearing a Tom Landry hat as opposed to having a headset. There's just something magical about that.
There is. And John Favreau, the insane linebacker, the kicker, who, who's an all-timer, who's turned into one of the great actors, a great thespian.
Reese, what's his name? Reese?
Yes. Reese something. I don't know, but he's in quite a bit of he's in quite a few movies and shows, whatever you want to. I mean, Notting Hill, dude. Notting Hill? Hugh Grant.
Yeah, some nice scenes with Julia Roberts in that movie. Anyway, yeah, I just like my dad though, now that he's, away from the game, having takes on things that we've been talking about for years, whether it's preseason football, college football, fantasy football, football movies, just things that he didn't notice in the past because he was calling games.
What was it? What did he not? What's the new thing with college football with him?
He's been watching a lot of college football on Saturdays because he doesn't have to prepare for a game, and I'll just watch with him, and he's like, college football, they just score a shit ton of points, and the quarterback play's not that great. I'm like, yeah, dude, where you been?
Yeah, there's a lot of blowouts.
Exactly. It's not the same. It is not the NFL.
It's not fun watching a team from the SEC play someone from the Mountain West.
Yeah. So I was watching the game with my pops, and Nick Bosa left the game. And after the game, there was the post-game press conference with Kyle Shanahan, and he talked about how the doctors don't believe that it's an ACL tear for Nick, but they'll do more imaging tomorrow. And then my dad goes, well, that's good news. And I'm like, well, it's not guaranteed that they're out of the woods yet with an ACL tear. He goes, Derek, you don't realize these doctors can immediately tell if an ACL tear or if an ACL is torn or not by touching something in the knee. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure that's the case. But also I've seen in the past in recent years, you've had Stephon Diggs have a knee injury and not be immediately diagnosed with an ACL. Then the next day it comes out that he has an ACL tear. Von Miller thought he had just a knee injury for a week or so, and then goes back in to get a second opinion. The doctors told him he tore his ACL. So anything's on the table, Greg. And sure enough, I was vindicated. I don't feel good about it. But yeah, Nick Bosa, sure enough, tore his ACL. And that's devastating because this guy was off to a great Defensive Player of the Year campaign, just closing out games. The one in Seattle where he forced Abraham Lucas, the tackle, to jump into Sam Darnold for the fumble. He has a sack against the New Orleans Saints. He gets a forced fumble just in this game against the Arizona Cardinals. So I thought that Nick Bosa was going to have a great season, and they needed him along with Fred Warner and Diamador Lenore to be the leaders of this defense with so many inexperience on the defense right now. So it sucks. He already has an ACL tear. I forget which knee it was on Sunday, but it's the opposite knee that he tore in 2020 and an ACL tear also when he was in high school. But
it's the same as the one in high school, but not the one in the NFL. It's the right knee.
Yeah, exactly. So that's not good for an aging player to have an ACL tear in both knees. I'm not going to say his career is over, but we'll see how he is going forward.
But also, one quick sec. What did the doctors look at in their initial test? Because when you hear the words clean tear, you'd think that would show up in the first test that you'd get.
Not always.
You sure? Well, obviously not. Maybe. Or were they not telling the truth? The reason I knew that it wasn't, I knew that it was worse than we probably realized was the way that Fred Warner and Trent Williams were talking about it after the game. It sounded like if you would have heard them and you wouldn't know it was an injury, that he like fainted in the middle of the field and had like a Damar Hamlin situation, because Trent Williams after the game was saying, even when we were driving down the field for that game-winning drive in the fourth quarter, I couldn't help but just think of Nick, man. And I'm like, but what if he's okay? I get it. You need him, but I think it was a lot worse than they were letting on just based on those comments alone. And then obviously Warner too. He didn't sound too excited to talk to about the rest of the team, like guys like D Winters or the rookies who stepped up. Obviously, you mentioned Upton Stout, Michael Williams, and all those guys getting in for what should have been the safety. Like the way those guys were, just their emotions, it did not seem like they were happy coming off the win. I don't know.
Well, you could tell from Nick Bosa just seeing the way he was on the sideline, from everybody that was at the game, the way that it was described to me was Nick came off the field, threw his helmet in frustration, just fell down with his back on the grass and just like very pissed off. And then walking off the field, I'm sure he's pointing to a family member and is like, thumbs down, this is bad news. I think that's, not to say like you could get everything from that, because a couple years ago, I remember Deebo Samuel getting hurt in a game, and we thought, okay, his season's over. And sure enough, he was just gone for 3 games. You never know. But all the indications were Nick Bosa, who knows his body very well, knew it was a torn ACL, and the doctors were telling him otherwise. And he was like, no, this is something different. So this sucks. And I know Niner fans are going to be, they're going to blame somebody. They want to blame somebody because this is too many injuries. They're all mounting up right now, from Brock Purdy to George Kittle to a year ago Christian McCaffrey and Trent Williams or Brandon Ayuk. Just go through the list of many names that have been injured. And I think it's unfair to just say this is caused by something. I know some people last night on Twitter were going in on the strength and conditioning coach, and I'm like, he has nothing to do with this. It's the same thing when Giants fans are upset about the lack of hitting, so they want to blame Pat Burrell or Matt Williams. It's just to blame somebody who you would never acknowledge before. There is no cause of this, in my opinion, really. Like, I know some people are going to put reports out there that the 49ers don't stretch properly before games, whatever. You play football. You're going to get hurt. And I know it's a lot of injuries for this particular team. I can't come up with a reason why this is happening. It just is what it is. I think the Niners are built for it. I think they can definitely, persevere through all these injuries. I know last year they weren't able to do that, but I think losing Christian McCaffrey just totally screws up their season. With Nick Bosa, yes, he is the best defensive player on your team. He is the reason why the pass rush will get after quarterbacks. This team hasn't caught an interception in a long-ass time, and now that's going to probably hurt their chances even more because of the lack of pass rush. You got to get more snaps out of Michael Williams. You got to get more out of Bryce Huff. It's going to be a challenge. I do think they can still make the postseason. I do think that this schedule is easy enough where they can win enough games.
That's the thing. The strength of schedule coming into play, like that's where you feel good about having this easiest strength of schedule here. Because
definitely
they can get by without him. What's it going to look like at the end of the season? You know what? Their numbers are probably not going to look great, but as long as their win total keeps going up, then you might forget about this one. I mean, I don't know. You could call me wrong here, but I didn't feel like I really put Nick Bosa under the can't get hurt guys list really until this season, actually. Like, based on how he was playing these first 2 games in a quarter, like he was looking, even though he didn't really have much as far as finishing numbers against the Saints, God, he was just, I'm sure Kelvin Banks Jr. is having nightmares still about Bosa right now. He was just toying with them that entire game. Obviously he had that closeout against the Seahawks and just ruined everything for them in the red zone to try and go for the game winner. I really thought that, but before that, I thought like if he gets hurt, it's not the worst thing in the world. Like if Fred Warner were to get hurt, or shoot, even Diamador Lenore were to get hurt, just because of the lack of depth at those positions. Whereas the 49ers defensive line, God, Bryce Huff is looking really, really good in Saleh's scheme, and they're going to miss him a lot. They really are. And I don't know. It's just maybe it was more beforehand. It was more these last couple of seasons where I'm like, they can weather that storm, but now maybe they can't. I'm hopeful that they can, but maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
isn't that a great take? Isn't that what everyone wants to hear? I don't know. Maybe.
That's basically me every day on Dirty Work where I waffle all the time. But I think that this is going to hurt them. It definitely is, because you're relying now on Michael Williams, and I was talking to Guy Haberman today. He was on the show, and I was like, I think it's equal parts good and bad for Michael Williams because he's not going to play with Nick Bosa, but he'll get more playing experience. And guys like, what? This is terrible for him. No, this is awful. What are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, but he'll get more playing time, and now he could grow a little bit as a player. He's like, sure, I guess. I don't know. You need him to step up now, and that's a lot to ask of a player that I thought was a kind of a project. I mean, he's playing on first and second down, but he's not on passing downs. And that's where Bryce Huff was going to step in and, do the things that he did in New York, where he was just a third down specialist with Robert Saleh. I do trust that Robert Saleh is the defensive coordinator now, and he could come up with blitz packages. He could find a way around this. He dealt with this in 2020, and they had an awful season that year, but the defense was still pretty solid. So if this was Nick Sorensen or Steve Wilks or anybody else, I don't think that they can handle this. I think that Robert Saleh could come up with creative ways to get to the quarterback. But just to finish the point I was making earlier, I think that the Niners, with their schedule, I don't know when they'll be truly tested. I think it will be, coming up the next 3 weeks. You could say what you want about Jacksonville, but they're 2-1. After that, they play the Rams, then they'll play the Bucs. But they're going to, in large part, benefit from an easy schedule. But the question mark to me was when they were going to the postseason, are they truly tested? Can they beat the Philadelphia Eagles? Can they beat the Detroit Lions or the Green Bay Packers or any of these other teams that we think are going to be really good in the NFC? And now I don't know if they'll even have a chance because Nick Bosa was going to give you that chance. That guy could get to Jalen Hurts or Matthew Stafford or Jordan Love. I don't know anymore. I don't know if this team's capable of that, and I had my doubts prior to Nick Bosa's injury.
Yeah.
Now I think this pretty much, I'm not going to say cements it, but I think the Niners will be a good team in the regular season. I don't know about the postseason given the injury to Nick Bosa.
And I'm going to do this thing where I act like I'm a former football player. Shout out to Ryan Clark. But I mean, what's it going to look like in the meeting room? Like after watching Dolphins Hard Knocks and seeing how much of an emphasis that they put on Max Crosby that one game, when you don't have 97 to account for, all right, then who do you account for? All right, well, watch out for number 27 because Jair Brown is kind of a blitzing specialist, and that's where he thrives the most. Watch out for number 47 on the other side. Maybe we're going to throw the chip at him. I don't know who's going to be on the other side of Huff. We'll just let that guy, go man on man with the offensive lineman, and we'll focus more on 47. Like 98, sometimes we have to account for him, but his pass rushing numbers got better. There's no doubt, but you could see where the value is as a run blocker. He was reminding me a lot of like the first season of Khalil Mack, where he's just overpowering the interior lineman and getting into the backfield at least once a game. And, unfortunately, this is where also missing on it seems like they've missed so far. I mean, you got to give him time, I guess. But Alfred Collins does not look like a good pick with that second round pick.
Give it time.
Yeah, sure. But this is where you kind of need him to excel now. Like, do they have time to give him time? You know what I'm saying?
Well, Nick Bosa didn't play defensive tackle, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, it's just anyone along that defensive line who can, give them numbers, and give them numbers meaning give them an advantage with somebody on there. And I don't think they necessarily worry about Collins because he's got a ways to go. And then I'd love to try to say that to Collins, who's 6'5", over 300 pounds. Hey man, I don't think you're that great yet. Oh shit.
But naturally, when a player of Nick Bosa's stature goes down, fans are immediately going to say, well, you got to make a trade. You have to go out and get somebody. And the names that were thrown out were Trey Hendrickson, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Max Crosby. And I'm like, I don't think any of those are feasible. And first off, Max Crosby, he just signed a contract. It's not like fantasy football where they can just trade for a player and it doesn't account against the cap and everything. They're paying Nick Bosa $37 million a year or whatever it is. I think 34, whatever it is. Max Crosby's making 36, 37. They can't add that onto their salary, especially when this offseason was all about shedding salary in the first place. So
also the Kayvon thing, even if it doesn't work out, like, okay, Trey Hendrickson and Max Crosby, sure, those guys are pure edge rushers, but Kayvon Thibodeau is more of like an outside linebacker. So I don't know how much he would actually fit.
I think that he'd be fine in the wide 9 that they run.
I think you'd hit the Bryce Huff problem that he hit with the Eagles. It's just a different scheme. Doesn't look as good.
Possibly, but I'd also, the fact that Brian Burns got hurt in that game against the Chiefs, they need him now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to trade him away. I understand why people say Trey Hendrickson. Makes sense because they just signed a 1-year deal. The Bengals are batshit crazy, and I think that everybody watches that game when they lost to the Minnesota Vikings 48-10, and they're like, well, this season's already in the crapper, so go ahead and trade him. The Bengals tried this all offseason. They tried to trade him, and nobody was biting on a first-round pick. Now that the Niners are desperate, you think Mike Brown's going to change his mind? The guy only trades players when he gets a ridiculous bounty. He traded away Carson Palmer because Al Davis passed away, and Hugh Jackson was offering 2 first-round picks. I don't think that we have to wait on that one. The Bengals have to start losing games in order for them to give away Trey Hendrickson. With the headache they went through to give that guy an adjusted contract, I don't think they're just going to trade him away willy-nilly. The thing that the player that seems most feasible to me to trade for would be Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan's on the New Orleans Saints. He, I think, has 1.5 sacks on the season. He is 36, 37. He's getting up there in age. The Saints are going nowhere, and that's a trade you can make maybe next week if the Saints are 0-4 and Mickey Loomis and Kellen Moore are just trying to, get draft capital at this point. And Cam Jordan went to school at Cal. So if I had to pick anybody that's feasible for the 49ers to trade for, I would say it's Cam Jordan. But I talked to Matt Mayoko about this, and even he thinks that might be a stretch. This season really was an evaluation season. It was equal parts, just like Buster Posey with the Giants. It was to evaluate the roster, but also to be competitive. And now that they're 3-0, they want to go for this. And I wonder what it will be like at the trade deadline. If they're 6-2 or whatever their record is, then John Lynch probably goes for it and trades for somebody. But if they start losing games, then I think they're going to have the attitude of, we kind of came into this with the expectation that we're going to rely on a lot of rookies, so let's just see what we have.
I think we got to wait.
Yeah, I don't think it's set in stone that they're going to replace Nick Bosa with a high-caliber player in a trade.
Depends where they're at before the deadline.
Yeah.
I think it's too early to talk about that. Teams don't know whether they want to trade players. Like, no one's just going to trade an edge rusher out of nowhere. Like, I know the Bengals just suffered a horrible loss to Mr. Birkenstock and the Minnesota Vikings. But, like, what if somehow they bounce back, and they have another season the way that they did? Also, the Trey Hendrickson thing, I don't know. How much is a $30 million a year rental, for the remainder of his season? And then he's an unrestricted free agent after this, right? So is it really worth it to give up a draft pick for that?
If you really think you are in contention of winning a Super Bowl, and we'll figure that out. Like, you saw the trade deadline, the Niners did nothing because I think they realized we're not going to win this season. So why we bother about that?
Right.
If you think that you have a chance, then they may go for it. But I think it's going to be extremely hard for the Bengals to give up Trey Hendrickson for anything less than a first-round pick.
Yeah. No, I agree. It all depends too. I think I think other teams, if they want to trade, they're probably going to wait to see what else they can get out there on the market first before they even think about just trading them to some contender.
Yeah, and I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility that the Bengals trade for a quarterback after what we saw with Jake Browning. I have some ideas. We'll get to that a little later when we do quick hits to go around the league.
Oh,
all right. Let's go to the Raiders. 41-24. You can add this to the list of backup quarterbacks that have been in the Raiders the last few years. Andy Dalton, Tyson Bagent, Baker Mayfield. Not to mention the short week. Not even a short week, but when Jeff Saturday was the interim head coach for the Colts and the Raiders lost to them. So, am I surprised they lost the game? No. Am I surprised that it was in the fashion that it was? Yeah, a little bit, because I thought this defense was going to be a lot better, and they got shit stomped. And the special teams they gave up 2 big plays with Deebo Samuel and Lynn, the kick returner or punt returner, that returned back that kick for the touchdown. It just seems to me like the Raiders, their offensive line is just putrid right now. Like, I'm not ready to say that Ashton Genty was a bad selection, but when you don't improve the offensive line, then what is it for this season? Like, you should have known that this offensive line wasn't great. You're not going to get the best out of this young running back who still has to learn how to run as an NFL player. I think Geno Smith was lucky to not throw an interception again in this game. He threw 3 touchdown passes to Trey Tucker, or if you're watching the broadcast with Chris Myers, you could call him Trey Turner. But yeah, I think Geno needs a good offensive line because he's running around, and much like Gardner Minshew, it doesn't look smooth. It just looks like it's forced, like everything he's just thrown in harm's way. So they have offensive issues, they have defensive issues. I think that this team thought they were ready to compete right off the bat, and it is more of a project. And Pete Carroll, I don't doubt that he'll turn things around, but I think it's going to look ugly off the start here. It already has. So, yeah, I think we need to go week by week with this team, because I don't think it's going to be as bad as a season ago, but it's clear just looking at everybody else, and including the Chiefs, who didn't look great in their win against the Giants, and the Broncos, who've only lost 2 games because of field goals at the end. The Raiders right now are clearly the worst team in the AFC West.
Let me give you the 2 plays that made the difference in this game. I think this one set up the other, at least for the defense, because, again, I got a whole slideshow. I took screenshots of, I think, 10 of the 17 Gen T runs. Yeah, they got problems. I'm going to do a little half-assed film watch here, Derek. This is more for the people listening to the broadcast. But the play that made the difference to me, even though this ended in a Raiders fumble, this was one that hurt them later on in the first half. This was beyond the special teams, but they were not ready for a quarterback like Mariota. Even though Daniels is a mobile quarterback, good Lord, if Daniels is in this game, but they were not ready for it, and especially the best defender on the field, and that's number 98.
One game as well. He is a special talent.
Mariota keeps, and Marcus.
Yeah, completely goes after the running back. Didn't even look at Mariota, and Mariota ended up fumbling, so it ended up good for the Raiders, but who knows what would have happened had they actually scored on that play. And the reason why that was a bad thing is because they're in a fairly same formation. Not really. Mariota's in the shotgun, and it's an RPO. But this time, Crosby was more focused on the running back. And I'm not blaming Crosby for this play because it was about the bad tackling. But I do think that run by Mariota absolutely set up this touchdown by Jeremy McNichols.
That guy.
Both McNichols and Rodriguez are in the backfield.
Watch Crosby on the other side.
Straight ahead run.
Nope.
And tough yard, still on his feet. Jeremy McNichols. I don't think.
Again, that was more on the poor tackling from the linebacker's side, but Crosby was still hesitant, and normally he's not. Normally he's a heat-seeking missile on those plays, willing to go across the line of scrimmage and dive at whoever's carrying the football. But he made that one quick step to Mariota, and I just thought, beyond the terrible tackling from everybody, from Jermaine Pratt, as Alon said, to
Landon Roberts,
Roberts, thank you. Good Lord. Devin White, I think, was on the play too. It was bad. It was terrible. And the discipline, like, that's the thing that got me with this game. It was the lack of discipline, like nothing on special teams. They look lost in the run game, just lost. And I'm not going to act like I'm some guru, but can I show you here the slideshow that I put together?
By all means, sir.
This is the most low quality film slideshow that's ever been produced, Derek. Okay. This is just what it's been with Ashton Jeanty, as he had 17 carries. All right, let me get this thing going here. Okay. All right. Slide 1, Derek. Okay.
This isn't bad though.
No, it's not terrible.
Look at you. Put in the time code in the corner. Look at this.
Listen, this is the first run that they had in the game. Okay. Michael Mayer, number 87. I wish I circled him. I actually I realized I could add circles and arrows stuff in the later slides. So
what'd you use to do this? This is pretty impressive, Steven.
It's a Mac screenshot, Derek. As you can see, the MLB.com tab at the top of this screenshot is open.
Hey, this is not as impressive as Papa's playbook, but this will do.
But this is the first carry of the game, and as soon as he gets the ball in his hands, I believe it was Armstrong who already beat Michael Mayer, who is just holding out his hands, and he ends up getting tackled for a loss. All right. Literally 1 yard. Okay. That's the first run. Then the next run up the middle. I squared it up here. this was the problem when you kind of knew something was up when they said, we might be in a little position battle here with Jackson Powers Johnson, even though he's not great at guard, but we're in a position battle and we're going to stick with Jordan Meredith at center. Well, Powers Johnson is a much better center, I think, than Jordan Meredith is. And Jordan Meredith seemed to be better at guard. But Deron Payne, as soon as Genty got the ball in his hands, Payne's already in the backfield there.
Yeah.
No chance for him to do anything. All right. Again, now this one, this is where, let me see, well, we already had, you might look at Jordan Meredith, they already pancaked the dude. But as soon as Genty got the ball in his hands, number one, you had Jacoby Myers, who's in the square right there. He was crossing the line of scrimmage. He was motioning across the line of scrimmage to make the block on, I forget who number 3 is, but Jacoby gets leveled. And by that time, Kappa had already lost the block on Deron Payne once again, and Armstrong got in as well just to make the tackle, just 1 yard. All right, 3 carries, 2 yards. Not great. Now, this was one of their successful runs, and this is the one guy who's really having issues in run blocking. It's Jacoby Myers.
Yeah.
Jacoby Myers struggled. And I don't like to call people out for this because they're playing football. They're playing professional football. This is really, really, really difficult stuff. But as soon as he went for the block, he got thrown down to the ground. Now, Genty went big this one, and I believe this is I can't remember, but I believe this is the play where he just absolutely trucks the safety. And that's where you see like Genty has skills. But point being, maybe, just maybe, had Jacoby Myers held that block, maybe Genty bounces to the outside because Bowers ends up getting this safety here. Maybe he bounces to the outside and goes for a bigger gain instead of just head hunting up the middle. Because as soon as he saw that safety, he just saw red and wanted to truck him. I don't know if that could be a wrong analysis, but I don't know. Just seeing him get thrown to the ground like that. Yikes. All right. Moving on. Another successful run play. This was the one where they bounced to the outside, but they can't even have a 10-yard run without their quarterback getting smashed in the middle of the field. Deron Payne just absolutely leveled Smith. Commendable for going out to try and get the block, but good Lord, like the quarterback could have got hurt on that play. I just don't know what's going on. It went for 11 yards, so not bad. And you see the skill, you see the talent, the balance, all those things with Genty, but it just feels like even when it goes right, things go wrong. All right, on another one, I believe this is the one. Oh, yeah. So you see this play. I got the arrow there. Looks like it's developing, right?
Yeah.
Looks like he has a rushing lane there, and he's got that safety.
He has a wide open lane. He should probably he should probably score there.
Should probably score. Could maybe truck that safety who he trucked earlier in the game. It's that same guy at the top of the screen.
Yep.
And you see Dylan Parham holding his block. DJ Glaze doing the same thing. Jordan Meredith and Alex Kappa doing a pretty damn good job on the linebackers. But then, Dylan Parham gets Pete. And much like that guy who is facing Myles Garrett on the Browns from the Packers, Ashton, run!
Yeah.
Because, he just got absolutely crushed on that play. And what was it again? Yeah, it was 3 yards. That should have maybe been a touchdown.
No, it definitely should have been a touchdown. Steven, is that all of them?
I got a couple more, dude.
Oh, by all means, go for it.
I got a couple more. All right, this is one where this is more of a Jacoby Myers type of thing, but you got Jacoby Myers and Ian Thomas, right? On the left, the tight end, the new tight end, Ian Thomas. Jacoby Myers is meant to cut this play off, right? And this was his assignment too. Like, this was no doubt this was his assignment.
Yeah.
And had they actually completed their blocks and gone to the right, Genty could have cut back to the left, then bounced to the outside. But instead, he's just chasing after him. He didn't make the block. He took the wrong angle. And, Ian Thomas just got absolutely leveled by, I believe, Frankie Louvu. Oh, no, it was Newton on that one. And then, all right, got one more. One more. Maybe 2 more. How many? I don't even know how many more. I got a couple more. Ashton Genty could have gone up the middle here, but look who's the wide receiver. He's got those 2 guys right there. He's got the corner and the safety. You see Brock Bowers at the end of the line of scrimmage here. He's going for the block. The thing is, Jacoby Myers is going to block that safety and not that corner. Genty is going to go through that little lane.
Yeah.
And instead, you see the safety, his back is totally turned to Genty, not even paying attention to him. And the cornerback is just wide open for the tackle.
Yep.
So there's that. And this was I just kept on going off with them. This was just a totally blown up play, and this was towards the end of the fourth quarter. But look at this. Look at where Genty is. Hasn't even got the ball yet, and they've already blown up the play in the middle of the line of scrimmage, while Jacoby Myers is already chasing the free safety, and he ends up getting smashed. This was just one more. I believe this is one where. Did I miss it? Was this the one? I think this is the one where I felt like Genty kind of made the wrong read. No, not Genty making the wrong read. This is the one where Colton Miller, okay, on the left side, supposed to be your best offensive lineman. He was getting beat. And had he actually made that block, Genty could have had a wide open lane, potentially ran for the ball, but instead just held back for 3 yards. It's not to say it's all the offensive line's fault, but Genty had a couple of runs where he, maybe his vision, he could have cut back to a different side of the line of scrimmage, whatever. But point being, there's just so many plays you can look at where you're just like, good Lord, man. It's not a professional looking team right now.
I know, but well done on that. That was fantastic breakdown. Yeah, the offensive line sucks. And no, it's the truth right now. Geno Smith was sacked another 5 times in this game. They're not opening things up for Ashton Genty. Like, I know Ryan Clark wants to have these takes on First Take and, these grandiose statements and everything, but to say, like, Ashton Genty doesn't have it, you don't even know that right now. He's played 3 games in the NFL. He needs to get proper blocking. They're not blocking right now. They're not a good offensive line. My guy Aram texted me being like, this is probably Brennan Carroll's fault, who's the son of Pete Carroll, who's the offensive line coach. I don't even think it's his fault. It might be because he doesn't have, good technique for these guys, but it's the same offensive line from a year ago, and they weren't good a year ago. So they need to improve on that. It's the biggest problem with the team right now. Chip Kelly, he could say all these things about load management and blah, 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 and all this bullshit. The bottom line is the offensive line needs to block for Ashton Genty for them to have any success offensively. It opens things up for everybody else. Jack Besh needs to develop more as a wide receiver. Haven't seen anything from him. I had doubts about this offense going into this season. That's why I wanted them to get another wide receiver, and they got Amari Cooper, but then he retired. It is a very bland offense. The only guy that has really flashed so far is Trey Tucker and Brock Bowers.
Yeah, and even Brock Bowers had himself like a. You could tell that injury's hampering him a little bit because there was that play in the end zone where normally he'd beat, I believe it was the cornerback who was just man on man against him, but he didn't. And it just shows that he might be a step slower right now and is still getting his legs back under him. Also with Genty, I had this added in the slideshow. I thought it would be added towards the end, but I did this little like half-assed scroll, like a little shape. It was in the shape of a scroll. And I had a couple of notes on Genty, Derek. Just one of them being out of the 40 qualified running backs in the league. And this is kind of deep in the analytics department in the next gen stats, the NGS, the nice guy, Steven next gen stats, as I like to call him on the 5 a.m. show, when people love hearing about stats at 5 a.m. Of the 40 running backs that qualified, Genty is 36th in success rate, 38th in efficiency, and he's carried the ball for 144 total yards. Only 3 running backs who have carried the ball 40 times this season have fewer yards than that. And that's Chase Brown, I believe. I don't know if Travion Henderson is in there. I think Zach Charbonnet is in there. No, Zach Charbonnet has had fewer than 40 carries. But point being,
missed the game this last Sunday. Yeah,
he's at the bottom. He's well at the bottom at every metric, and that's not what the Raiders were promoting. That's not what Pete Carroll was lauding this team for. It was about being physical and about running the football, and you can't tackle a guy in Jeremy McNichols, who I think is the same, who was on that one season of Hard Knocks with the Atlanta Falcons, who also bounced around to a bunch of different teams. Somehow you can't tackle him, and you can't run the football against a Commanders team that hasn't been great at stopping the run so far this season.
Yeah, and, gotta give credit to Dan Quinn because he knows Pete Carroll very well from his Seattle days. So and he got lit up on the sideline. With his bird face, as Steven calls it. But
that's some meat stuff. That's I regret that.
No, I think it's accurate though. But him coaching with blood all over his face, that's just epic. Yeah, it's equal parts disappointing from what you've seen in the trenches on the offensive line and defensive line. And yeah, that missed tackle by Jeremy Nichols is just inexcusable. Like, I know that Max Crosby just, overthought on the play, but it should be cleaned up by Jeremy Chin or Landon Roberts or anybody else on that play.
Yeah, no, and I don't. It's probably unfair of me to point out Max Crosby, but I did notice like a little difference there, as he's just a guy who has a full head of steam.
Right.
Clearly, they talked about it. Said, dude, you got to watch out for Mariota. But as soon as Mariota pulled that ball, he was focused on as soon as he handed off that ball, he was focused on number 8. He wasn't looking at the running back. And even that little slight bit of hesitance, I think that's the word, hesitation, not hesitance. And that slight bit of hesitation, he was just gone. And normally he does clean things up. So I don't know. That was more for sure about the linebackers though, and the safety.
No, definitely. And then like when they get back in the game, and it's not really get back in the game, but it's a 10-point game with however many minutes are remaining. It's 34-24. They just give up that easy walk-in touchdown for Luke McCaffrey at the end. So yeah, the Raiders are not in a rebuild. I know that some people are saying that, but you don't trade for Geno Smith and have the intention of rebuilding the franchise. I know that Pete Carroll's starting from scratch, but they were in on Micah Parsons. They were in on a lot of people this offseason. They want to compete. Like, everybody's making a big deal about Tom Brady in the booth, and I totally get that, but they're not fucking around. They're not trying to build upon something. They're trying to win right now. They're trying to compete with the Chiefs and everybody else in that division, and it's just going to be a longer process. So I need to pump the brakes. I have them winning 10 games. I need to see where they're going to be. It's a week-to-week league, but they need to get more production from their offensive line. There's no doubt about that. Ashton Genty's not going to be anything that we expected him to be if the offensive line doesn't get their shit together.
Totally. And now they welcome a Bears team who is as confident as they've ever been coming off that win over the boys.
And sure enough, Ben Johnson, I don't really know, like retaliation, but he was in line to get this Raiders job and I guess passed on it. So that's an interesting factor in this weekend's game. Before we go through all the games of week 3, just ranking the undefeated teams.
Yeah.
You have the Eagles, you have the Bills, you have the Chargers, you have the Colts, you have the Buccaneers, and you have the 49ers. How do you see it, Steven?
Man, believe it or not, I think I'm still going to stick with the Eagles. Like, I know they haven't played up to their potential, and I know they've probably not looked good as far as just aesthetically, like what they've been doing. But God, the Eagles are just they're such a well-oiled machine, and I just think they know how to win. I'd still give the edge to the Eagles as the best 3-0 team in the league. Even though they don't seem like the best right now, I don't think I'd take anyone else to beat them at this moment. Like, Jalen Hurts is just he's a winner. He's like insane in the best way possible too. Some of those guys, they're just guys that are a different breed, the late Kobe Bryant, like that same kind of killer mentality. Jalen Hurts doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. And I know that the only reason they really won that game is because of the blocked field goal, which ended up in a Jordan Davis touchdown, but still winning plays. So I'd probably put them at number 1. I think I got to put the Bills at number 2, just with the way Josh Allen's been playing right now. But at 3, maybe it's just because of the mic'd up segment that I saw earlier. But I put the Buccaneers at 3. I think they're a fun little 3-0 team right now, though they did lose Mike Evans, which is massive. But their defense is playing great. I think Baker Mayfield might be the most underrated quarterback in the league right now. Emeka Egbuka is on his way to winning Offensive Rookie of the Year with the way that he's playing. So I put them at number 3. I put the Colts at number 4, just because Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor have been awesome. And then I'd put the San Francisco 49ers at number 5.
Where do you put the Chargers?
Oh, yeah, the Chargers. Fuck, I forgot about the Chargers. Oh, God. I'd stick them right before the Bengals. After the Buccaneers before the Colts. I'd stick them after the Buccaneers, before the Colts. This is going really well. I suggested this shit.
Until the Eagles lose, they had to put them number 1 because they're the defending champions. But we'll go more in depth on that game. Number 2, I had to put the Buffalo Bills because they're clearly the best team in the AFC. I don't know what to make of the Ravens right now defensively. I have the Chargers right after them at number 3 because I think Justin Herbert's playing right now at an MVP level. After that, I would put the Buccaneers. They've been really impressive, but as you just mentioned, Steven, they got the Mike Evans injury, and they did blow that lead in the fourth quarter to the Jets. I have the Colts at 5 because I think just Shane Steichen has his team rolling right now, and if the season ended today, which is a stupid statement to make, but if it did, he'd be your coach of the year. He's got Daniel Jones having maybe a comeback player of the year type season, and they've only putted once in 3 games. And then finally, I would put the 49ers at 6, just because I don't know what to make of this team right now. They've squeaked by in their victories, but that's impressive in itself. But I want to see what they are when they get the offense at full strength. And obviously, they're going to be a little hindered by a lot hindered by the Nick Bosa injury. But just to go through the week 3 games, let's start with the big one that was the Eagles and Rams. And I thought the Rams came out for blood because they lost this team twice a year ago, and they were the only team to really test the Eagles in the postseason. And I thought they had a really good game plan. They benefited from penalties and, kind of good play calling from Kevin Patolo, their new offensive coordinator, the Eagles on an opening drive just to get the tush push, even though it looked like somebody false started on that touchdown. But after that, the Rams were just going after their offensive line, and that's one of the few times where I've seen Jalen Hurts just uncomfortable, getting his ass blitzed. And Jared Verse on that sack right out of halftime to cause that fumble to go up 26-7. I didn't think it was game set match for the Rams at that point because I thought they left a lot on the field. I thought that they kicked too many field goals. Had they gone for a little bit more and made that score 28-7, I think it's a different type of ball game. I thought that Matthew Stafford, even though he was on the money to that to Devontae Adams on that touchdown, and then he was finding Puka Nacua, but there were times where he missed them on third down where there was a wide open throw. So had they capitalized on that, I thought that they could have definitely extended that lead in the first half, and then they kind of make it insurmountable for where the Eagles can come back. I think the Eagles are a very talented team. For the fact that the Rams could shut down their running game is incredible to me. But Jalen Hurts benefits a lot from his receiving core, kind of in the same way that people are kind of down on Brock Purdy because he has so much talent around him. I think you see the same thing for Jalen Hurts, where they didn't need him to throw the football to get back in games, the first 2 weeks of the season because they were establishing a running game and were fine. This is where, all right, Jalen, go win the game for us. And it wasn't anything special. I don't think he threw great balls, but it was like 50-50 balls that A.J. Brown came up with. And that's why he's one of the better wide receivers, and that's why he gets so frustrated because they don't use him in a really basic offense. I agree with Drew Brees and what he said on First Take today, where it is kind of a boring offense, but they just execute so well. So when you have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, you get back in the game, and the 2 blocked field goals were incredible, one by Jalen Carter and the one by Jordan Davis. I thought the Rams were going to win this game, and then him able to not only block the kick but scoop it up and score with it to make the Eagles cover the game. Incredible. So give kudos to the Eagles. And as far as the Rams, I come away thinking they're the best team. There's like a best team in the NFC right now. I honestly believe that because their ability to game plan and have Sean McVay find, holes in their defense, holes on the offense that they can exploit. They didn't capitalize on it in the second half, but I think the Rams are that good. I come away thinking that they're a really good team. And yeah, if I had to rank the NFC West teams right now, the Niners are second to me. I would say the Rams are the best team in the NFC West so far. But yeah, I come away just really high on both teams. And I think that some team will punch the Eagles in the mouth in a couple weeks here. But right now, you have to say they're the best team in football.
Yeah, and I wonder who can stop him when they don't have who can stop them when they don't have 2 really, really good cornerbacks. I thought it was telling when in the fourth quarter, when the Rams are trying to come back and win this thing before the blocked field goal, and they just kept going after Puka Nacua, just kept peppering him. And then I think it was Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olsen on the call, right?
Yep.
They mentioned how it was Quinyon Mitchell who was shadowing. It was them, right?
Sorry,
Excuse
Joe
me.
Davis.
Joe Davis, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like it was that awkward moment with the 49ers game where Adam Amin went to Kurt Menefee in the studio and then Kurt threw it back to Kevin. Then
I didn't see that.
Yeah, they did the whole thing where they do the promotion about like what's coming up at halftime, and then Kurt's like, "Okay, back to you, Kevin." And then Adam Amin's like, "All right, thanks, Kurt." Anyway, the point is, Joe Davis was on the call. And Greg Olson mentioned, he's like, Quinyon Mitchell has been shadowing Devontae Adams all game. And what would you think when your number 2 receiver technically has to be shadowed and your number 1 receiver gets free reign? Like, how many defenses have the luxury of being able to do that? Not many that I could count. So I think the Rams are going to be real tough to deal with later on, as long as Devontae stays healthy, because Devontae Adams is still Devontae Adams. I heard the little bit where Copes is like, what happened to him? It's like he was an all-pro his first year with the Raiders, and then the second one they just completely lost everything. Like the quarterback, the coaching staff, the locker room, all of it. Like Devontae Adams' skill never went away.
No, never. That's just Copes trying to make Raider digs.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams has always been a great player. It's just, with playing with Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell was going to get lost. So that's why he wanted to play with better quarterbacks. I just thought that he focused on criticizing the Raiders way too much. But yeah, he's connecting with Matthew Stafford pretty well. And Quinyon Mitchell, he let Cooper DeJean or Reed Blankenship take over for him on that touchdown where he should have stayed with him. The rest of the way, Quinyon Mitchell had pretty good coverage on Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think both teams are going to be really good, going forward. And the Lions last night, that game against the Baltimore Ravens, that was a fun game to watch. And very similar for the Baltimore Ravens, not in the same way with the Buffalo Bills where they had a huge lead, but just score for score. I don't know if the Ravens could keep up with these better teams, these better offenses. The Lions, I don't know if it was the Green Bay Packers defense just being that incredible or they just came out rusty as fuck in week 1, but they look like themselves week 2 with Jared Goff throwing 5 touchdown passes and then running up the score on the Bears. And then last night, man, I thought that they would be lost without Ben Johnson. Not the case. Johnny Morton is running the same scheme, and their play designs are just as good as a year ago. That 4th and 1 call where Amon-Ra St. Brown is kind of flexed out to the left, has the carry, but then pitches it out to Jahmyr Gibbs on the 4th and 1. Just a beautiful play.
Yeah.
Their 2-headed running, monster backfield is incredible with Sonic and Knuckles. Amon-Ra St. Brown flexing on dudes, flexing his butt, having a hot mic on the touchdown. And not to mention the defense for the Lions at the same time, having 7 sacks on Lamar Jackson. Just goes to show their ability to cover now with DJ Reed and their pass rush, not even just from Aiden Hutchinson, but a lot of guys on that defensive line and the linebacking core. I think the Lions are for real again. We didn't know if they were going to be the same team week 1, but they're definitely looking like themselves from a year ago. And as far as the Baltimore Ravens,
yeah,
I don't know about them defensively. And Derrick Henry, since week 1 has kind of looked like an older version of himself, fumbling in 3 straight games, and that fumble last night was crucial. So, yeah, I would say, I know on Saturday I said the Baltimore Ravens are just that little behind the Buffalo Bills as being the best team in the AFC. I'd say they're a ways away now with a lot of question marks on defense.
They're looking just like the Lions are just looking like a complete team. And as long as Jared Goff doesn't turn the ball over, I mean, that's the key, right? It's the key with any team. As long as they don't turn the ball, like we didn't even mention it in the last with the last game, but like Jalen Hurts, just compared to the seasons previous, I was looking this up earlier. Like he hasn't thrown an interception in the 4th quarter. I think turned it over in the 4th quarter since 2023. And that year, I think he threw like 5 INTs in the 4th, but he hasn't done so since 2024. And so even through these 3 games, it's only a small sample size this season, but point being, like they don't make many mistakes. And I think that's the key with Jared Goff and the Lions. As long as he doesn't put them in harm's way, God, that offense can just roll. It's like when it's on play action, God, how much faith do you have when you fake it to either Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery, and Montgomery being the better running back last night, you fake it to one of them and then Goff throws it in rhythm. Like, I don't think there's anyone else in the league right now where I'm just like, okay, well, that's a completion. Like it feels like it's almost automatic whenever that happens, just because everyone's on the same page. Their offensive line is just mauling dudes. Good Lord. And getting Aiden Hutchinson back was just massive. Obviously he had the sack that really kind of sealed it for them and gave the Lions the runway to make it a 2-score game. But I was like, God, they are back. And Kelvin Shepherd, like, how much fun is he to watch on the sideline?
Yeah, especially after that week 1 performance in that press conference where he just gave no nonsense responses to the media.
Everything.
Yeah. What does Ben Johnson do that's great as offensive play call? Everything. Yeah.
Next question.
The Packers losing to the Cleveland Browns 13-10. You can pinpoint this on Rashawn Walker, their offensive lineman, after 2 weeks saying, yeah, we could go undefeated. Like, that's way too early to say that shit. But the truth is they're banged up on offense. They're really good defensively. They may be the best defensive team in all of football, but offense, they just have a ton of issues on the offensive line. With Jaden Reed being out, they don't have really any big playmakers. Tucker Kraft, came to the game with a knee injury, so they used him sparingly. But also, when your offensive line is just getting mauled like they were, I think it was 5 sacks by the Cleveland Browns, you need him to, help you out with blocking. So they had to take him away. And they need more from Matthew Golden. They need more from Dontavius Wicks. Am I saying that right? Or is it Dontavian? Dontavian Wicks. Romeo Dobbs, they have a lot of wide receivers, but kind of like a year ago, they don't get open a lot. And I'll say it first, or not. I won't be the first person to say it, but I'll say it because, he's the guy that I talk about all the time. Jordan Love had a bad game, and he threw a really bad interception. Now, is he kind of running for his life the entire game because his offensive line can't protect him? And he was kind of hoping that would just be like an easy first down completion. Or a third down completion to get the first down and them to ice the game away. Yes, Grant Delpit made a great play. Also, I have to give credit to the Cleveland Browns. I kind of, I'm shitting on them for, the first 2 weeks of the season, not thinking they were that good. They are pretty good defensively from that defensive
really good
line.
Defensively.
Yeah, and Jim Schwartz is a great defensive play caller. Their corners, maybe the best tandem in all of football with Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome. But, yeah, they're pretty sound on defense. Offensively, they weren't doing anything in this game. Joe Flacco didn't look great. They were running effectively with Quishon Judkins, I think in his first game of the season, or maybe played a little bit last week. But he got around 80 yards or 90 yards, and the Packers' offensive line just wasn't getting any push for Josh Jacobs. There was a moment where Matthew Golden caught a pass up the sideline, but for whatever reason, stepped out of bounds, maybe because he lost his balance, but he should have scored on that play. I just think it's a bad loss for the Browns this early on. But then again, a bad loss for the Packers this early on with the expectations that are placed upon them with trading for Micah Parsons. But when you understand everything that they're going through with the injuries, maybe it makes sense, but they need to get more out of this offense. They need to find playmakers. Matthew Golden needs to step up. And I'm saying that as a Texas alumni. I just thought that he would be better than what he is at this point. So bad loss. It's early on, though. It's to an AFC opponent. I still think the Packers are a good team, but they need to get their shit together offensively.
Yeah, well, I mean, and Josh Jacobs hasn't been the best this year. I mean, he's still Josh Jacobs, but 16 carries, 30 yards rushing. You need a little bit more than that. A lot of people are sharing clips from this last game, specifically of Myles Garrett, which I do want to get to. But
Yes.
There's other ones of Josh Jacobs that are going around where it just seems like he's not the same Josh Jacobs that we all know. But as for that one clip, I hope this one doesn't get us any copyright issues. I don't think it should. But anyone who is watching this stream right now,
the other ones probably will, but it's all good.
Anyone who's watching this stream right now, stop it and pay attention.
Bro, I beat him on the cleanest inside last series. Jordan! Run! Yes.
Yeah, he did. Screaming that to Jordan Love.
Man, that guy's insane.
Yeah. No, Myles Garrett's a beast. But, yeah, I think they'll rebound. I think that they have to get something going. Matt LaFleur is creative, the same way that Kyle Shanahan is, where if you have injuries on your offensive line or your skill position players, he'll find a way to scheme it up. But
I'm not
yeah,
worried about the Packers really. Like it's bad. It's a bad game. It's a bad loss, but I'm not really worried about them.
yeah, I think I underestimated how good defensively the Cleveland Browns are, and they're not going to be a playoff team by any means, but they're probably going to be a tough out for a lot of teams.
Shoot, I mean, with the way that the Steelers are playing right now, and who knows, even the Ravens, you never know, man. Like that AFC North could be up in the air.
Well, speaking of the North, let's go to that Pittsburgh Steelers and New England Patriots game because the Steelers, I think, had a 14-0 lead to start the game, and the Patriots had so many opportunities to get back in this game. Aaron Rodgers not playing very well, getting sacked, throwing interceptions to Robert Spillane. But every time they were in the red zone, the Steelers came away with the football. I think they had 5 turnovers. So I did not come away that impressed with the Steelers. I thought they were better defensively, but it was more so just the mistakes of the Patriots.
Yep.
So it's a better defensive effort than what we saw the first 2 weeks where the Steelers gave up 30 plus, but offensively, just you're right about that, Steven. Their offensive line's not great either, and Aaron Rodgers is not that mobile anymore. So I don't know what to make of the Steelers at all right now. I think that they were lucky to beat the Jets. They got the shit kicked out of them by the Seahawks, and they barely got a victory against the Patriots when the Patriots probably should have come back and won that game.
And, you know, I've got to be honest. I did not watch a lot of this one because I was still in San Francisco celebrating the anniversary or whatever.
Yeah.
But what is this or whatever? What's this whole thing about Mike Vrabel, Patriots fans going after him for his decisions on 4th down? What's going on here?
He was aggressive, as he's been in the past with Tennessee. To me, it was more so the interceptions that Drake May threw or the fumbles at the goal line. Like literally, they were about to punch one in, and TJ Watt came up with a fumble recovery in the end zone. I have to go back and watch the game a little bit more, or look at the highlights as far as the 4th down decisions, but that's just Mike Vrabel. He's always going to do shit like that.
I mean, I caught the highlights of it, and it looked like Drake May was slinging it. So it's unfortunate that turnovers were kind of the downfall. I
would say that was the biggest catalyst for the Steelers' victory. The Colts are surprising at 3-0, and I'm not going to break down the game. It's just, you know, they kicked the crap out of the Titans, and I got this game totally wrong. But when you have a rookie quarterback and the Colts are humming right now, offensively and defensively, they look like the best team in the AFC South. And I would say a close second are the Jacksonville Jaguars. They don't do a lot offensively. Brian Thomas came up big in this game, even though early on he had to get a drop pass once again. But he made up for his terrible performance in Cincinnati. I don't know what to make of the Houston Texans. They're 0-3. I wouldn't rule it out that they still win the division because I think they're pretty talented quarterback-wise and on defense. But offensively, I mean, their offensive line's not great. Their receiving core outside of Nico Collins is non-existent. They have no running game without Joe Mixon. And we brought it up last time. C.J. Stroud giving advice to Caleb Williams. I think that was way too soon. I think that C.J. Stroud, even though I would say he's still a pretty good quarterback, he's definitely regressed. So, yeah, I think the Colts are clearing away the best team in the AFC South right now.
Who would have thought? Like, we like to put quarterbacks and head coaches in tandem, right? It's like you need those two figures to work together, and that's going to move your team to where they want to be, which is into the playoffs, into the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. Who would have thought that looking at the AFC South, you would probably, not with the Titans. You kind of knew what was coming with the Titans. It looks like Brian Callahan's job is on the line already, and he's giving away the play calling to his offensive coordinator. And
that's dumb to me. Like that clearly is an owner-driven move.
Yeah. But it doesn't sound like Brian Callahan's going to be there much longer. It looks like Cam Ward's the quarterback for the future, but who knows what's going on with their head coach. With the Jaguars, they seem to love Liam Cohen right now, but we have all seen the way that Trevor Lawrence played. I think his status as their franchise guy. That's still up in the air. He has a little bit more to prove if he wants to move forward with them. And then with the Texans, I mean, are we going to get to the point where CJ Stroud, when he's eligible for that new contract, like, what's that going to look like?
And that's next
are
offseason.
is he going to be in a Daniel Jones type of situation with the Giants? Like, what's going to happen with him? Because D'Amico Ryans, by all accounts, like a really good head coach, and we've seen him do it in his first year, but it seems like it's the quarterback that's the problem.
You're saying for the Texans, CJ Stroud?
Yeah. And like, it might be D'Amico Ryans who sticks around and maybe not CJ Stroud.
I thought they made a huge mistake firing Bobby Slowick.
Yeah.
I thought that a lot of quarterbacks now get the Magic Johnson treatment, like we saw in Winning Time, where Paul Westhead was fired because Magic Johnson didn't want to deal with him. CJ Stroud didn't like that Bobby Slowick was challenging him, how he was not having a great season. And Bobby Slowick said, you need to do this better. You need to do that better. And CJ Stroud's like, nah, man, I'm not feeling you. And D'Amico Ryans caved and fired him. They should have kept it going with Bobby Slowick. I'm not saying that their new offensive coordinator can't be good, but just to pull the plug on what looked like a pretty good situation his rookie season, I thought it was a mistake. So I don't think it's all CJ Stroud. I think it's the offensive line. I think it's his lack of receivers. He's calling out guys for their practice habits. And maybe he needs to look in the mirror. But, yeah, I think it's a lot of things right now for the Houston Texans. They play the Titans this week, and if they lose that game, yikes. But, yeah, it's pretty clear the Colts have a pretty good situation going with their head coach. And it just wasn't working out with Anthony Richardson. So maybe they move off of him this offseason. But they found something in Daniel Jones. And as you said earlier, Jonathan Taylor is probably your leader in the clubhouse for Offensive Player of the Year.
Listen, man, people call me crazy for being bullish on the Colts this year. Crazy, I tell you. But look at them now.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. And I think that, one thing I don't like, you've seen this where Jim Irsay's daughter has taken over as owner of the team, and she has an earpiece in.
Yeah.
Some people are like mocking her on social media, be like, what could she possibly learn from all that shit? Shut up. You know how many owners are just committal to their football teams or not enthused by anything football-wise? The fact that she's on the sidelines and trying to learn and actually know what's going on, I think that's awesome. I think that's she's more involved than most owners who just sit their ass in the suite and don't do anything. I think it's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, she's been there for a while, I guess. That was let me where we go. Hang on.
She has been there for a while, and some people think it's kind of like corny that she's doing it. But
let me pull up Gerald McCoy's Twitter, because he was the one who kind of got checked on it. Where was it? It was this one, right? We've been laughing and saying this nonsense, but ever since Tomb Raider been on the sideline, they've been 3-0. And then,
all right,
everyone said she's been on the sideline for almost 10 years. So there's that. A lot of people didn't know, apparently. Been on the sidelines. Go Colts. Meanwhile, someone said as a Raider fan, I would take that. Meanwhile, seems the owner of the Raiders is more, obsessed with the WNBA team, which is having a little more success right now in the Vegas Aces.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, more power to her if she's been doing that for a long time, and now we'll help her even more when she's actually talking football with her GM and Chris Ballard and the head coach Shane Steichen.
It's refreshing, quite frankly.
Yeah. No, it is.
Seeing that, like, I think every owner, it kind of just feels like they stand there and watch, just to have cameras on them, not taking notes diligently with the headset on, making sure everyone's doing their job. Like, I don't know. I always get a weird vibe from, like, say, the Jacksonville Jaguars owner, or Jerry Jones when he's in there in the middle of Brian Schottenheimer's celebration speech, and Jerry Jones is right there at the center of it, like standing alongside him as if he helped them win the game. Like, come on, man.
Not to mention like David Tepper, who would like rather throw a drink on somebody than go to the sidelines and put on a headset.
Yep.
Speaking of the Panthers, not gonna act like I watched a lot of this game. I'll go back and watch the highlights, but I think it's more an indictment on the Falcons. Like, I looked up the stats in this game, and the Panthers didn't do a lot moving the football. I don't know about Michael Penix, and I don't know about the Falcons, and I don't know about this team, and I don't know if Raheem Morris is going to be their coach going forward.
Bro, people are apologizing to Desmond Ridder. Michael Penix has played so bad.
Okay, that's a little much.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, King, is some of the posts that I've seen.
You can apologize maybe to Kirk Cousins in a couple weeks.
That's another one.
Yep.
That's another one. And, I mean, is he going to be the starter moving forward here? Have they announced anything?
No, I think Michael Penix is still going to get some starts, but if it trends in this direction where they put up some points against the Bucs, they didn't do anything offensively. They were just lucky that JJ McCarthy was bad. And then this game, they get shut out by the Panthers, who don't have a great defense. Yeah, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Kirk Cousins becomes your starting quarterback again.
Well, good for him. Good for Kirk.
The Chargers, they're just letting Justin Herbert play. They're letting him do his thing. It's sad to hear about Najee Harris with the torn Achilles. He dealt with a lot this offseason with the fireworks and his eye being injured, and now he's out for the rest of the season. They're going to have to rely on Omarion Hampton the rest of the way, but Khalil Mack's not out there. They're still getting pressure. They're still playing really good defense. I think right now the Chargers are clearly the best team in the AFC West, having the 3-0 record. The Broncos, they're pretty good defensively. I mean, it's crazy that Justin Herbert was going after Patrick Surtain in this game, like throwing deep passes to Quentin Johnson that he couldn't just come up with. But the Broncos had opportunities to win this game, and I just don't think Bo Nix is that good. I think that he's fine to run the offense, but if you're expecting him to be, as good of a quarterback as Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert, I think he's always going to be third. So, they're a good football team. I don't think they're a great football team. Talk about the Broncos, the Chargers. Yeah, I think right now they're right there with the Bills as the second best team in the AFC, and I think that they'll probably. I shouldn't say probably, but it's trending in the direction that they may end the streak of the Chiefs with however many consecutive AFC West titles they have.
They just close games. The defense just closes games. It's complementary football. And the biggest one is Justin Herbert. I mean, that play where he was basically sacked and somehow gets the ball off for the touchdown, I think. When I saw people pissed off about their Ladd McConkey production because everyone took him so high in fantasy, including myself. That sucks for fantasy teams, no doubt, for all of the Ladd McConkey owners out there. But the fact that Quentin Johnson and Keenan Allen are the leading receivers and Ladd McConkey's the third option, it's the same thing as like the Rams with both Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. If you have that much firepower and they're actually getting results, then how is anyone going to stop this team? Again, it's if they keep it up. If they keep it up, Quentin Johnston, he's been great so far, but it's been 2 weeks. I need to see more. Keenan Allen is sure-handed as anyone. I know what we're going to get from Keenan Allen, but the jury's still out on Quentin Johnston. I don't know how many of the jury are still out on him, but there's at least one. What?
And sometimes for a jury, all you need is one. But just case in point, 12 Angry Men. But for Keenan Allen, he's, having a resurgence with the Chargers to make that touchdown. Got some weird shoulders. I don't know if you saw his celebration being the Raiders, but what he's got bones sticking out of his shoulders. What is that?
What is that? What's that called?
I don't know.
There's a medical term for that. I don't know what it is.
I have no idea what to call that.
Yeah. Funky.
Weird. He could get it fixed if he wants to, probably.
How? Someone just punch it? Like punch the bone back in?
Put it, it's probably from his shoulders being dislocated so many times.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah.
No, you stick with that. That's a badge of honor. That's like the Baldinger finger.
Or the little mole on Mo Bucket's head.
Sure. That's not where I was going, but sure.
No, just the same thing. He could probably get that removed if he wanted to, but he chose not to.
Scapular whinging or winging, Alon says here.
Oh, never heard of that before. And the Chiefs, I don't think they fixed anything. I think they looked pretty bad, actually. They got a few plays from, who's their wide receiver? Number 80, Tyrone Thornton.
Yeah.
He's their big playmaker right now. But everything else, There's so many times where Patrick Mahomes threw backwards passes and Isaiah Pacheco has no reaction to go fall on the ball. They're pretty good defensively still. I shouldn't say pretty good. They are good defensively. The reason they won that game is just because the Giants are awful on offense. Defensively, they'll probably figure out that pass rush with Brian Burns and Thibodeau and Abdul Carter, not to mention Dexter Lawrence. They have playmakers on defense, but offensively, it took them way too long to get a first targeted pass to Malik Neighbors. Russell Wilson, there's so many fourth down plays where he just throws the ball away. I'm like, when you Derek Carr against the Chargers, what is this? It's also, I didn't know what to make of Brian Dable. I was very impressed with him in Buffalo in that first season with the Giants, but he's very conservative for an offensive play caller. So I don't mind them going to Jackson Dart. I think it needed to be done. But I think also you can make the case that it will be a race between Brian Dable and Mike McDaniel of who's the first head coach to be fired during the season.
And they're getting Cam Scatterbo more carries next game.
Yeah.
And Derek, I don't care if Kyle Brandt got on his high horse and thought that calling Cam Scatterbo, reminding people of Peyton Hillis, like that's some sort of insult. He does. I'm sorry, but he does.
Yes.
Maybe not Toby Gerhart, but Peyton Hillis was a damn good player to the point where he got on the Madden cover. That's not an insult. That's just the truth. And if you want me to use a Giants player, it was the guy who pumped up the crowd in the first place. He does kind of remind me of Brandon Jacobs, except he's a lot smaller, but it's more the way that he runs. Dude. Brandon Jacobs is massive, but Cam Scatterbo was a fun watch, and he really does remind you of Peyton Hillis when you see him. Sorry, Kyle Brandt, who, when I look back at that was weird. That was so weird.
He almost was offended by that because it's like, oh, we make the same comparisons with white running backs. Well, yeah.
Yeah. It's the same style.
Yeah. And, we can have some fun with it too. Like people saying he reminds me of Larry Zonka. Well, that's just ridiculous. That's
What,
a
are you
player
going to tell me that he's shifty like Barry Sanders? Come on.
No, he's not. He's a straight ahead runner. And yes, he was basically their offense on Sunday night, but yeah, he reminds me of Peyton Hillis. He definitely looks like Peyton Hillis. And I came the next day to work, and Jack Loader, who you love, came back from vacation. He was like, "So what do you think about Scatterbo?" And he went to ASU, and I was like, "He looks like fucking Peyton Hillis. He's going to be a fullback probably in 3 years." He's like, "Oh, come on now. He had a great performance in that bowl game against Texas. That's college, bro. I think in the NFL, yeah, he'll be a good goal line runner, but he's not a lead back by any means."
Fun to watch, though.
Yeah, he is, but yeah, I don't think he's going to be that much in the NFL. I think he's going to be like Mike Allstott, where on the goal line you give him the ball. He's not the main guy, but he's another white running back. What do you want me to say?
This is what Kyle Brandt wanted to stop. It's like, I'm sorry, man. I respect you, Kyle. I respect everything that you do, but that little rant that you went on, it's like you were offended that he was being compared to white running backs. Like, yeah. That's who he is, man. That's
he says that because
exactly what you said, really. But it is.
Yeah, it's Kyle Brandt is, he is the guy with the scepter for angry runs, and he loves the way Cam Scatterbo ran at ASU. So they became close. So he's going to say that shit. It's the same thing. It's the same thing as Peyton Hill. It's the same thing as Mike Allstott. Different than Toby Gerhart. Toby Gerhart wasn't a physical runner in the NFL, but he can be a good goal line back, but to expect him to get like 1,000 yards, I don't think that's happening with Cam Scatterbo.
No, but he's fun to watch, and I'll give him that. And so was Peyton Hillis, and so was Mike. Who do you go back and watch highlights of all the time? Everyone goes back and watches Mike Allstott highlights. Why would you? I still going back to thinking about it. It's like, why was he so
offended by that?
Yeah, not offended, even just like passionate. Like, what's the problem, man?
It was not a weird take. It was just him like getting on his high horse about something. Like he's always the gatekeeper of football, even though like he's more like into pop culture and remembering when movies come out, what year happened and all that. But I like Kyle Brandt. That was a weird one to be all like high and mighty about. Like, we can't compare these white running backs to old white running backs. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I know, right? It was just, I like it when he, I like when he goes on these rants where he does equate things to movies from back in the day. I do like his performative kind of segments, and I do enjoy the angry run segment, but also giving it to Scattaboo when he had negative yardage in that first game. I'm sure he'd find a way to back that up, but come on, you give it angry runs to someone who had ran for negative yards total. Come on.
And my guy, Mac Van, has a good memory here. Derek hit it on his little bro, Nick, when he wanted to be a wide running back. Not Nick, my brother, Andrew. My little brother, Andrew, was obsessed with Adrian Peterson. And he told me at a young age, I want to be a running back just like Adrian Peterson. I was like, oh, buddy, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And he cried. He cried. Went to my mom, and mom's like, don't tell him that. What's wrong with you?
Dick.
Speaking of Adrian Peterson, the Vikings kicked the shit out of the Bengals. You and I both got that game wrong. I thought that Carson Wentz was not going to look like the Carson Wentz. He didn't look like Carson Wentz from Philadelphia, but he managed the game very well through 2 touchdown passes. The most impressive guy on the field was Isaiah Rodgers, getting the pick 6, getting the fumble recovery back for a touchdown, another forced fumble. He was a one-man wrecking crew. That defense throwing things at Jake Browning. And, yeah, the Bengals are in trouble. I don't think they can go forward with this guy. I know I talked him up last week, but he is just too turnover prone. I would make the argument now that with the benching of Russell Wilson and Jackson Dart's going to be the starter, take your pick. You can call the Giants up to get some draft capital and say, all right, we want either Russell Wilson or we want Jameis Winston. I think the Bengals should consider that greatly going forward the rest of the way.
Think they make a call for Mac Jones?
He's got 2 years left on his deal.
And
you know what? If I was Kyle, I would say no. I want to hang on to Mac because you never know what's going to happen with Brock.
Also, that I should have brought this into the prediction because I watched the mic'd up last week, and Jake Browning is walking off the field and is asked from the Bengals social media person, whoever she was, whatever her role is. She just handed him the phone and he had to do one of those selfie things. He could barely do a selfie thing. And he said walking back into the tunnel that his body is about to cramp up if he moves anymore. And it's like, okay, you played one game. Should have known that this next one was probably going to be pretty ugly if you're talking like that after one game. But hey, shout out to Folsom. Shout out to Northern California. Shout out to Sacramento for Cam Scattaboo and Jake Browning.
Yeah, but Jake Browning, it looks bad. Like the last time he played the Vikings, he had to fill in for Joe Burrow, and there's a video of him on the sideline being like, "That's why you don't fucking cut me." Sure enough, the Vikings just kicked the crap out of him. The other games, the Buccaneers, we talked about it briefly, but the Bucs were beating up on the Jets pretty thoroughly for most of the game, and then Tyrod got them back into the game. Touchdown pass to Garrett Wilson, touchdown pass to Alan Lazard, and then so many block kicks for touchdowns. They're not even just for touchdowns, but really good block kicks this weekend. And Jermaine Johnson blocks it, returns it. You got Aaron Glenn doing the little dance on the sideline, and you best believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to mock him the next time he rushes for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
The Buccaneers end up winning the game. Mike Evans has a hamstring strain. They'll probably get Chris Godwin back maybe this week. We'll see. But yeah, I'm with you on the Buccaneers. They're way better than what they were a year ago. I think they have more offense. They're very clutch. They've won three games to start the season with trailing in the last minute of a game. So they're resilient. I will just say this. You remember the dude that was part of the Michael Jordan story, that Michael had a terrible game against LeBradford, someone named LeBradford, the dude back in the day where that went up to Michael and said, LeBradford Smith went up to Mike after a poor performance and said, "Nice game, Mike." And then Michael Jordan comes back and has an all-time performance against this guy. And many people say that didn't happen. LeBradford Smith never went up to Michael Jordan and said, "Nice game." That's kind of how I feel with Baker Mayfield holding a grudge with Steve Wilkes. After the game, they ask him, "Did you want to get some vengeance for Todd Bowles with him being fired with the New York Jets and now being the head coach of the Buccaneers?" And he goes, "Yeah, there's a lot of revenge we wanted to get." Hassan Reddick, you have the clip. Yeah, let's go for it.
I loved it, and it's also their D coordinator was the one that cut me in Carolina, so it was a lot of stuff was personal today. Son Reddick, former Jet, a lot of people. Thanks, guys.
Son Reddick, former Jet.
Was that sped up? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was actually.
Yeah. So you hear there, Baker Mayfield's like, yeah, the guy that cut me, their defensive coordinator. That didn't happen that way. I mean, like, you can hold a grudge, whatever you want. Baker Mayfield was benched for Sam Darnold by the Carolina Panthers, and Steve Wilkes was the interim head coach at the time. He has to be released. He has to go. I want to go someplace else where I could start. And they obliged, and he went to the Rams and beat the Raiders in a short week. But I love Baker Mayfield. I think that he's definitely changed from being kind of smug and a punk ass in his early days. But that's wrong. He asked for his release. Steve Wilkes did not cut him. He has to be released.
That from the Bucs post game is what caught your ear?
No, Todd Bowles was letting it fly. Yeah.
Oh, my thoughts were going from where he's running for a touchdown. Use my language like you gotta fucking be shitting me.
The soft spoken Todd Bowles. Now that's not the one that really.
This one was much weirder.
This one was just like, what the hell?
What did Payne Durham say to you when he wrapped his arm around you in the tunnel?
Me and Payne have a relationship not many people know about, and we're secret lovers.
Coach, Tom, what did you say during the locker room?
Wow. Todd Bowles, king of deadpan. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I know. At first he says on the block kick, you got to be fucking shitting me. And then he makes a joke that he and assistant coach are lovers. All right. I guess he just didn't like the question.
Yeah, probably not.
Wrapped his arm around you in the tunnel.
Me and Payne have a relationship not many people know about, and we're secret lovers.
Coach, Tom, what did you say?
What if this is a serious thing and we're just laughing at him?
Yeah. What if this was a cry for help?
Yeah, well, seriously. Do we know that? Everyone's just laughing.
Or he's disclosing who he is.
Wow. Does Todd Bowles have a wife, kids?
I think he does.
Oh.
That's not the worst question Todd Bowles has ever been asked.
No.
You know what I'm talking about? Remember the one for the playoff game?
No. Which one was that?
Where they're playing in a dome in Detroit, and the woman's like, how do you think the weather's going to impact you? You know, we play in a dome, right?
Oh, yeah. Otis Bird, the Buccaneers white creamsicle unis aren't that bad. Yeah, they're awesome.
They're pretty sweet.
I'd rather make them permanent than those red ones, to be honest.
I would second that too. I think that a lot of teams go back to their throwbacks, but that's why they want them to be throwbacks, because then teams, they don't wear them as much, and then when they do, it's a big deal, and then you buy the jerseys. I get it. Okay, lastly, the Bears beat up on the Cowboys with Caleb Williams looking like pretty much his first signature moment in the NFL, I would say, with him having that great of a performance. He looked comfortable. He, the deep flea flicker pass to Luther Burden.
I mean, it was a great pass by him, but good God, that was what do you call that? Would you call that pass back the flea? And then the flicker? Because the flea was a floater. That was the most floating flea I've ever seen from DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
That thing was, that was rookie of the year floated from Swift.
Right.
Woo! Anyway.
Yeah. But no, I would say that's probably what Ben Johnson is thinking, the type of performances you want to see from Caleb Williams going forward, and him and Roma Doomsday have a thing going. So, yeah, and just revenge, I guess, a little bit with Caleb Williams going up against Matt Eberflus, the defense coordinator of the Cowboys. And it's not fair to have, your best defensive player traded before the season, but the Cowboys are just terrible defensively. Awful.
Who would have thought?
And CeeDee Lamb's out for a little bit of time where they had him on a running back play. Didn't understand that design, but whatever. And then finally, the Seahawks beat up on the Saints.
Whoa,
I think this.
Whoa, hey,
go.
Whoa.
You get. Oh, sorry.
You see? Have you seen that Patriots fans are like pissed that they hired Mike Vrabel over Ben Johnson? I don't even know if that was like a chance that they had. But
I don't remember that thing being a thing at all.
Yeah, well, apparently Patriots fans are kind of looking at ownership and saying, oh, we had to hire Mike Vrabel, who's building a culture. Meanwhile, that nerd Ben Johnson can go down to Chicago. He'll be fine. And this is what's going on in the locker room now.
First home victory.
Man, he looks like Smalls from Sandlot, doesn't he?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you still got to take Mike Vrabel, though. Come on.
I don't know.
We'll see.
He got let go from the Titans.
Yeah, but that was a whole. They were butthurt because he was chummy with Robert Kraft and went to his, his Hall of Fame ceremony or whatever it was, where he's on the Ring of Honor. That was the whole thing where they were upset about that.
Still let him go.
Yeah. And then finally, the Seahawks. They're coming into their own offensively. They put up 38 points against the Steelers. The Saints they're a bad football team. They put up 44 on them. Sam Darnold looks comfortable. This guy, Torrey Horton, the wide receiver they have. Wait, I said that Torrey Horton.
No, you did very well. Good job.
No, I know, but it's like I guess a 95-yard punt return and a touchdown. No, I think that the Seahawks. I have to see more from them. But I was quick to say that they're adept offensively and they're figuring things out. Mike McDonald, has that defense going. So I think that they're probably going to be a pretty good team going forward. The Saints, like I said, you trade away Cam Jordan to the 49ers. I think it's a matter of time before Tyler Shook becomes their starting quarterback.
What was it? 4 straight touchdowns, I think, for the. I don't even remember which play this was. I don't even know if it was a touchdown or what it was. But Sam Darnold getting hit as he throws, just dropping a dime to, I don't even know the receiver. Anyway, I think it was in the end zone. But Darnold, remember when everyone got after Mayoko for saying that he had the most talented arm in 49ers camp?
You mean you?
I didn't get after him. I was defending him.
You brought it up and you're like, Matt, what are you talking about?
I don't remember saying that.
Okay.
Maybe I'm gaslighting you.
Yeah, maybe.
Very talented arm, Matt. Good take.
Yeah. And you know what else? Matt Mayoko, he can deliver takes and also he delivers sandwiches to Greg Papa. Did you see that today?
Yeah, I did.
What was that about? I guess Matt was like, hey, I'm in the area. I'm getting Marucci's, which is a great spot at Walnut Creek. Did you ever go there, Steven?
Oh, yeah.
Great sandwich spot.
One time I went there and I asked for a number 5, which is the California Club. It's
very, very, very good
sandwich. Bacon, provolone, a little ciabatta. I think you can get pesto on there. Marucci's is good. But I asked for a number 5, and instead they gave me 5 of them. And I was like, I ordered just one sandwich. I didn't order 5. And then
was that really Italian guy working there?
No, it was I usually called in. So
okay.
It was always the same person whenever I called in. And she's like, well, you could just have the other 4 and just pay for the price of one. Just
wow.
And it was one of the best weeks of my life.
I would say one of the best days of your life. But yeah, it was
the best week because I
kept eating that sandwich. Those sandwiches
in the fridge, and I had a California Club every single day that week. It was on a Monday.
Man. There you go, Marucci's. They don't sponsor us, but we'll sponsor the hell out of them. They're a good sandwich spot at Walnut Creek.
Yeah, who should sponsor us? Hot Ones, or I don't know, maybe people who created the screenshot on Mac or something, which is literally all I used for that little slide.
Yeah, we do a lot of product placement on this show for free. So eventually someone needs to start putting up some cash on this thing.
Speaking of, Tommy Call, who joined this program earlier, he hooked it up with a little bit of merch. Aces and Eights Barbecue in Santa Rosa. I was going to say Santa Clara. In Santa Rosa. It's awesome. I highly recommend checking them out. And if you can find any pop-up where they show up, just go, because their brisket's on point. One time Tommy had us go to this barbecue competition, and it was a big deal. It was out in Clayton, and you had some heavy hitters there, and it was like, damn, this is a serious thing. And so they do the competitions They take it very seriously. They're very passionate about their work. So Aces and Eights Barbecue, if you're
All
in
right.
today.
Shout out Thomas Call III. And shout out all of you in the YouTube chat. We'll be back on Saturday at the usual time at 11, but Steven is going to a baby expo.
Yeah.
Checking out babies.
Yeah, just a baby convention. We're just going to lay out a bunch of babies and we're just going to take one. That's what I meant by having a baby.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Jesse's not pregnant. We're just going to pick one up.
Yeah, they're going to they're pretty much going to do a raising Arizona thing.
Exactly.
Where they just steal a baby.
Yeah. Or it could be like twins, where it's like they're separated at birth, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's like the got the strong genes, and then the other one is like, I'm the crap.
Yeah, and or it could be like Junior, where you're pregnant, Steven. Another great Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito movie. Now, Steven is off on Saturday, so we'll be me and Alon to say, who's in the chat right now. He'll be joining me, and we'll go through we'll go. I guess we'll recap Thursday Night Football, which will be Seahawks and Cardinals. Now that I'm thinking about it, before we get out of here, I should bring up the picks for that game. Hang on one second,
and I'm gonna pull this photo up. Look at Zion, man.
Looking slender.
He's looking slim.
Yeah, we need to talk about the Warriors and all their potential moves that are going down. Seth Curry's going to join the team, and it all will be rectified as soon as Jonathan Kuminga signs that qualifying offer. Yeah, Zion looks good there. Looks slim.
How about it?
That's not bad. Okay, real quick, Steven. Seattle at Arizona. The Seahawks are 1.5 point favorites, over under 43.5.
Play the points with the Seahawks, and as they went the over with the Saints, I think they could go over with the Cardinals. So give me the over.
I'm going to do the exact same thing. I think that, nothing to it. I think the Seahawks are the better football team right now, and the Cardinals are wearing those weird uniforms where they got like sand on them or something. Yeah, give me the Seahawks to win that game and definitely hit the over. All right. Alon is going to join me on Saturday. We'll recap the Thursday Night Football game. We'll pick all the Week 4 games and get his thoughts on the Raiders and 49ers. To everybody in the chat, thanks to Lauren F. Thanks to Alon Desai. Thanks to Mac Van. Thank you for the beef jerky, my friend. Thanks to Otis Bird. Thanks to Don Peralta. We got a lot of people in the chat. Hang on here. Whoa. Thanks to Rocca Nuera. Thanks to Pat H. Thanks to Tacky. Thanks to Ernie One. Thanks to, I think AJ Cruz was, AJ Cruz was the first one to pop in. There was some guy also, CC Correa, I think I saw in here earlier. And, Skills. And I believe that is it. All right, everybody. We will see you on Saturday. Steven, we'll see you next Tuesday. Say what you always say.
It is just opinion, man.